What's up, Collide? I am so glad that you are here for our final week of our series, Are You Happy? Over the past few weeks, we've been talking about how to understand and manage our feelings in healthy ways. And even though we all might feel differently about showing our emotions, I think there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want to be happy. In our world, happiness is the goal. It's what we are told to chase, achieve, and to hold on to. But what happens when we're consistently chasing happiness? What does it do to us when we think happiness is the only emotion that matters? Here's the thing. When we make happiness our only goal, we set ourselves up for disappointment. No one can be happy all the time. Consistently pursuing happiness is like chasing a rainbow. It just keeps getting further and further away. Let's try something together. Think about the happiest person you know. Someone who's always smiling, always has a positive outlook. Turn to someone next to you and share who comes to mind. Now, think of the last time you saw that person go through something hard. When were they not happy? Chances are, if you really think about it, even they've had moments where they just were unhappy. Because as much as they may want to be happy all of the time, life isn't always going to go that way. So here's the question. When the people in your life are unhappy, how do you respond? How does it make you feel? Maybe you feel like you need to fix it. Maybe their unhappiness brings you down too, or maybe you just feel a little awkward, uncomfortable when other people are sad. And you want to help them move on quickly and as quickly as possible. Whatever your response, the reality is this: we're not comfortable with unhappiness, ours or others. But here's the truth, 100% happiness is 100% impossible all of the time. So if we know that unhappiness is part of life, how can we respond in a way that's actually helpful to others? So let's turn to the Bible for a perspective. The Apostle Paul wrote a letter to a church in Rome with a really helpful message. Before Paul became a Christian, he dealt with a lot of anger, hatred, and frustration. And even after he started following Jesus, he still struggled with things like fear, sadness, and loss. Becoming a Christian didn't make him happy all the time. He experienced the full range of emotions that we all feel too. So with that in mind, let's see what Paul says. Let's turn to Romans 12:15-16. Here's what it says: "Be happy with those who are happy and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with each other." In other words, Paul is saying it's not our job to fix other people's feelings. We're called to let people feel what they need to feel and support them through it. It's empathy. Feeling what others feel without trying to change or avoid it. Think about two different types of friends. Imagine you're having a really tough day. Maybe your parents just told you that they were getting a divorce, and you're feeling down, really down about it. One friend tries to cheer you up by telling you jokes, sharing funny videos, or reminding you of all the good things in your life. Their intentions are good, but sometimes it can feel like they're not truly understanding your sadness. It might even make you feel like you need to just snap out of it or pretend to feel better, even if you're still struggling inside. Now imagine another friend. This friend simply sits with you and says, "I'm here for you." They don't try to distract you or make the sadness go away. Instead, they're fully present with you, offering comfort without needing to fix things. They allow you the space to feel what you are feeling without the pressure to just move on. This is empathy. The kind that Paul is talking about in his letter to the Romans. It's the kind of love that Jesus modeled for us. One that doesn't rush people out of their emotions, but gives them the grace and support to experience them fully. And that's the kind of empathy Paul is talking about. Jesus lived this way too. He wept when his friends were sad. He let children come to him as they were. Jesus wasn't trying to make people happy all of the time. He was simply loving them where they were and gave them the space to feel. See, like Jesus, we can give others space to feel. When we give others space to feel, we're not just being good friends, we're showing them God's love. So, how can we start doing this? Here's 3 simple steps that we can take. Number 1 is show up. When someone is struggling, just show up. You don't have to fix it, solve it, or make it go away. Sometimes the most meaningful things that you can do is simply to be there and show them that you care and they are not alone. Number 2 is show love. Instead of asking yourself how you can make them happy, ask yourself, how can you show them love? Maybe it's listening to a classmate who's stressed, sitting with a sibling who's sad, or silently praying for them. Small acts of love make a big difference, even if they don't change the person's feelings right away. And number 3 is stay with them. Remember, it's not your job to make sure everyone around us is happy. What we can do is stay with them in whatever they're feeling. Be a steady presence that reminds them that they are loved. See, I know a story in my own life. A few years ago, a good friend of mine, he suddenly passed away. And it felt like everything was falling apart. I didn't even want to do anything. I didn't know how to cope. I just didn't want to try. I didn't even know what to ask for, but every time I took a breath, I had a friend who just showed up. They didn't try to fix or say the right things. They were just there. And that simple act, just being there for me, made a huge impact. It helped me feel supported, loved, and reminded me that God's presence, even in the darkest times, that's something we can all do for each other, even if it feels small. As we close, I want to remind you that giving others space to feel doesn't mean taking on all of their feelings or becoming their therapist. Sometimes the best way to support someone is to talk to a trusted adult, especially if it's just too heavy. That's why small groups, mentors, and leaders are here to help us carry the tough stuff. As we head to small groups, think about this question. What's one way I can show God's love to someone who's hurting in my life? Maybe it's a friend who's feeling alone, a family member who's stressed, or someone else you know. But think about those 3 steps that we talked about earlier and which one you can implement to help that person. Well, Collide, it's been great to hang with you, and we'll catch you next week.